to do as far as my purpose is to encourage people to pursue all the other, to look at both sides of the fence. Always. I'm not going to say I'm anti-chemo in some rare cases. I think it is a good choice, but I don't think it needs to be as long. But I mean, I have opinions. But based on what I've seen and I've witnessed, there's truly, truly healthier ways to purge cancer out of your system, and especially if you got a slow growing cancer or whatever, you got more time. Why not try some of these methods and these natural therapies that have been proven to work as well, and see if you can eliminate it without having to go through the poisonous route. Right.
So if I could just ask one more question, because I think it's relevant. And you mentioned the NRF2 activator in the beginning of our conversation. And some people might say, well, you're taking the activator before you got cancer. Why didn't it work? And you have a different kind of take on that. So would you mind talking about that? And then same thing, how has your perspective changed in terms of how you're teaching about health from a preventive perspective, not allowing these diseases to progress to the point where they manifest, like what you were just saying about cancer?
Right. So NRF2 activation as well as NRF1, one's as powerful as the other.
Yeah.
But back then, the NRF2 activator was all I was familiar with. And what I said earlier, this is a metastasizing cancer. And a year earlier, I just knew in my gut I was supposed to be on this product. When what happened is these mutated veins married that tumor and then with a fibroid, and it just fed it such a high blood supply. But if you think about it, that was blood supply was going through that tumor, carrying cancer cells with it. This is a metastasizing cancer, and it was dropping cancer cells in every tissue of my body every hour. Yeah. And for it not to have metastasized is miraculous all by itself, but that is what NRF2 does. It prevents cancer cell mutation, is one of the studies say. And so for me, that is what I believe happened was it just prevented it to take root anywhere else. The mother tumor was a soccer ball, so that is why they gave me stage 3, stage 4, because it was so massive.
The tumor was the size of a soccer ball in your belly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah. So then we could even talk about the after effects through recovery then, right?
All right. So, well, and remember also, I was without oxygen to the blood.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the anesthesiologist was blown away. I mean, he came up. What anesthesiologist comes up and visits you in the hospital every single day?
Afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, and then he was because he brought me cards. He was just so incredibly personable. Wow. And so I went to see him a year later when I was a year out from my surgery because nobody thought I'd be alive. Right. And I went to see him first, and he said, Cindy, you were dry. You had no pulse. And in all my years, I had never witnessed what I witnessed that day. Wow. And he said, when you have no pulse, and yet your heart never stopped beating, and you don't have a pulse. He said it's just mind-boggling. So he would ask me, did I have an after-life experience even? And he just dove into reading books on that after that experience, and we've stayed in touch. He's the neatest guy. He believes in alternative care. He's from India. And so it's really neat to have an advocate on what I did and how excited he is to see me all the time that I'm still alive. Right.
So obviously you're a big believer in NRF1 and NRF2. So as one final parting shot about that, how do you see that as being relevant from a health perspective? So people don't get faced with the diagnosis that you got. How do you know what I'm saying?
I believe this was, obviously I got cancer. I don't know why. Yeah, they're saying it's genetic. I believe this was at least 50% of my protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I tweaked a few more things. The cancer coach helped me with that so that I could get to a 100% healing process. The NRF2 to me is so important because, and the NRF1, because it balances the cells, and it's not just cancer. Heart disease is just these life-threatening diseases that so many people are experiencing in their families is horrid. And if they could skip over some of these just by adding and changing a few things, I mean, to save a family from the pain my family went through during that season of the unknown and somewhat preparing for the possible death. And if families could skip over that, it would be so huge. And so if I can educate them on this being part of that plan, that activation, that this is the most potent NRF2 in the world, and giving the body the potential to heal itself, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and over 200 diseases are related to the core of this. Our NRF2 starts dropping at the age of 20. So this just revs it back up as if we were 20
years old.
Yeah, and so it's amazing what this discovery is, and it's going to change the world in my humble belief.
It's very exciting. We're definitely on the cusp of really revolutionizing health. I think
so too.
Truly, some people talk in hyperbole way too often, especially when you talk about alternative and complementary care. But this is really legit, and like you said, there's tons of science to back it up, and that's what excites me as somebody who's in the field. So, thank you for your time. I love you.
I love you too.
I appreciate you giving us some time. So we hope you enjoyed this interview, and please feel free to share and comment, and look for our videos coming up again soon. Take care.